I realized that I had seen the magic in everyone around me, but I had never really made the time for me to connect with me.
Julie Piatt is a bit of a modern-day mystic.
Everyone is going through major transformation. And so if we're in that moment, what is our greatest power? Our greatest power is to love.
She's a true Renaissance woman. She is my most frequent podcast guest and also my wife.
As we enter into an unprecedented moment on planet Earth, our lives are changing and will not look the same as they have in the past.
The sum of her many talents is wisdom. Wisdom on everything from creativity, parenting, relationships, spirituality, and entrepreneurship, to navigating life's most profound challenges. This is wisdom she has earned on the art of being.
Being is the greatest state of awareness. And in this moment, we need to be beacons of love and understanding and connection.
For those new to the show, SriMati, as she is known to many, is an accomplished yogi. She's a musician, a best-selling author, a plant-based chef, a spiritual guide, and the founder and CEO of SriMu, the startup that is pioneering the next evolution of cheese.
There is grace all around you, even now. And you cannot quantify this. I can't prove it to you. I can't clock the metrics on a device, but I can tell you these experiences are available to all of us if only we would listen.
Today's episode is brought to you by the awesome organizations that make this show possible. Julie Piatt, welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Rich Roll. It's wonderful to see you.
It's been a minute. Maybe a year. I can't remember when you were last on.
Wow. Yeah, it's about a year.
What's on your mind?
You know, I feel it's really meaningful to just share that everyone is going through major transformation. Big changes going on in life. And for me, mine showed up in the form of a very severe communication from my higher self, which came in the form of breaking my elbow off on February 21st of this year. So this event shattered me, really shattered me in many, many layers. And I'm not quite the same, which is, you know, I was thinking like, what's the best thing? What's the worst thing that's happened to me in this year recently? And it's breaking my elbow. What's the best thing that's happened to me? It's breaking my elbow. And I feel like that's kind of the moment on planet Earth that we're all in. We're having this opportunity to be faced with the deeper aspects of ourselves, what we came here to do, where are we hiding, where are we not paying attention, and what is truly meaningful to each of us as we enter into an unprecedented moment on planet Earth where our lives are changing and will not look the same as they have in the past, as it has in the past.
You truly did shatter it. It was quite devastating, the break, and you were out of town. Like, luckily you had friends to support you and take care of you while you were, in that moment of need. But the journey back to healing has been a long, hard-wrought one for you with this. And I think it sort of leveled you and compelled you to, kind of look within in new and interesting ways. So I'm curious about like how you navigated that crevasse from, this kind of devastating injury to a place where you now say it was the best thing that happened to you this year.
Well, I would say that I didn't handle it well. I don't think I handled it that well. Meaning I was so not on par with my body being injured. Like it was just really not what my plan was. And what had happened prior to the fall was I had a series of sort of coming to a deeper communion with myself. And I had been observing the ways in which I have been mother, and I probably discussed this when I was here last time, but all the ways that I've showed up as a mother to my own children, to my relationships, to you, to my communities, to my companies, and the way that I had been playing this role, which many women, embodied humans, play this role on this planet. And I had come to a moment where I realized that I had seen the magic in everyone around me, but I had never really made the time for me to connect with me. So I had not been a mother to myself. And so it was in this epiphany that I finally, in ceremony, went to, I call it her, or that greater aspect of me, of us that is informing us. And I said, okay, I'm here. I'm here. So come through me, speak to me, guide me. I'm listening. And as I have shared on this podcast and in my life, with ritual in my life, it is actually a thing. Like, it actually works. It's not just a sort of idea or an emotion. It actually is an energy. And so
the practice of ritual.
The practice of ritual, yeah. And so this vow that I made to her, this promise, this readiness with which I made myself available, I was invited to an investment dinner at Niraj Mehta's house, one of my investors. And he said, Julie, come up for a ski retreat. It's going to be amazing. We ski. I was so excited to ski. And another friend, an investor, Rodrigo, also was going. Gabby, his wife, didn't want to go. So I flew up to Northern California, jumped in the car with Rodrigo, and we drove into Reno. And I was about an hour late. SriMu was on the table. People were waiting. It was going to be an amazing 3-day connect with all these incredible people from all over the world. And I got out of the car, and the street was dry. Like, I stepped literally on the only patch of black ice. And it was an instantaneous, I had my backpack over my left hand, my left shoulder, and I literally fell with 100% of my weight on my elbow and snapped the point off. So I was screaming, of course, and Rodrigo was trying to get me to breathe. And he was like, Shri, like, can you turn over? Can you breathe? Can you take a breath? And I was like, dude, I broke my fucking elbow off. And he still was trying to get me to breathe. And I finally said, give me your hand. And I put his hand where my bone was, and it was not in the right place. And then he understood what had happened, and then everybody came out. And so the blessing of it was that I was with Rodrigo, and we were traveling between laughing our heads off and then me screaming. So it was this very extreme experience, and luckily he was there. And I was able to FaceTime you and the kids, and you got me on a plane out the next morning, miraculously, and found me the best surgeon. And I just want to give a shout out to Dr. Mo Dever, who took care of me, fixed my elbow. So thank you, doctor. But the process of it was just really shattering. I mean, that's the only way I can really describe it. I had one of my most profound communions with the other realms as I was awaiting for surgery. I had a visitation by this energy that was immense grace, immense grace. And she was communing with me telepathically, telling me there is nothing to achieve, to gain, to grasp, that there is grace all around you, even now. And I didn't want to disturb this energy, even a micro movement, because it was the sweetest thing that I ever experienced. And she stayed with me for about an hour. And then when it left, I vomited the whole day. And I was distraught because I've been waiting for surgery for 5 days. And I called you and I was like, I need an IV right away because if I'm vomiting in the morning, they won't operate on my elbow. And so when I went into surgery and, Modever's team and staff, they're amazing. And they had warmed the bed for me. And when I got in the bed, I just had tears streaming down my face. Like it was like a jolting into a new sort of state of awareness, I would say. And it continued from there, but that's sort of the ambiance of what occurred.
And what is this new state of awareness, and how is it different from your previous state?
Well,
of
it's
awareness?
not. I mean, it didn't stay, or I would be not in my body and gone. But yeah, I had a taste of those things that people meditate for, or do ayahuasca or plant medicine or whatever. I asked her in ritual to come to me, and she did, but not exactly how I would have liked it to have gone down. It was. It's a serious thing, when you claim yourself in that way. And so, she gave me a taste of that. And I've been traveling sort of in between and observing my life and experiencing life from a sort of different vantage point.
I'm interested in this visitation.
It's an indescribable thing. It's not something that you can think into existence. And, this is maybe why, I'm not generally an advocate of plant journeys, for everyone. I've been pretty outspoken about that. And
I should say, not to jump on your words, but when you're using these words like ceremony and ritual, I think people might be confused that means you're doing plant medicine journeys. That's not what you're doing.
No, absolutely no drug use. Past my adolescence, where I did a lot of drugs, but not in a spiritual intention. My point is that we are all going through an evolution right now, and these experiences are available to all of us if only we would listen, if only we're open to listening. Now, mind you, I did not envision that this was going to go down this way, and had I wouldn't have vowed, probably. I wouldn't have made the vow. But I can't describe it. I can only tell you that it was as I was between dream and waking state. I call it she because it was a grace and a love that I've never felt in my life. And so it was her, and she was telepathically communicating with me. And she was reminding me that being is the greatest state of awareness, and that, as all the spiritual texts say, and that we've all heard a million times, everything that you need is residing within your own heart. And you cannot quantify this. I can't prove it to you. I can't, clock the metrics on a device and say I was this close. But I can tell you it was maybe the most powerful experience I've had in my life. I've been lucky that I've had quite a few of these experiences because of the way that I live my life. This was right up there. And the aftermath is the vomiting all day. And why does that happen? It's because the frequency is so high vibrating that when it comes in and meets your energetic, there's a purging. So it's a grand purging. It's not, there's a process to these experiences.
I'm sitting here thinking, when you mentioned like there's no metrics or there's no device that could quantify or calibrate this, and I'm thinking, if you were wearing a Whoop, like what would your Whoop have?
Yeah, I won't be wearing a Whoop.
I actually would have liked to have seen what was going on with you physiologically during that experience.
Yeah, I mean, it was just it was an immense love. It was a love beyond human love, and. I'm saying an hour because as a human, like I probably wanted it to be an hour. It might not have been quite an hour, but I was crying in love, crying in joy. No one can ever take that from me. Like, it doesn't care if anybody comments and says, oh, it doesn't matter. It's like no one can take that experience from me. And this is the power of the realms that are unseen, that cannot be conjured or tracked or called upon at will. in my experiences, these aspects show up when you least expect them. And the only mechanism is to be in a state of unknowing, of I don't know anything. We know as we travel on the path that we don't know anything. And then at some point, the path is gone. It's that state fueled with true, pure devotion. Like you mean it. You're not like, oh, I need this because it's like, it's pure in that essence. And, it was just such an immense blessing, such an immense moment that she showed herself in that way. And it's taken me months to heal. I'm still not healed. My arm still isn't straight. I'm still in pain. But, I'm on my way.
And the lesson, like, what is it? Like, where is what is the quality of the gift? It's this honoring of yourself as this person who has been mother to many other people, to mother yourself, to honor yourself, to love yourself, to attune your attention to yourself as somebody who has spent a lifetime attuning their attention on the care of other people. And then beyond that, like, what has lingered?
Well, it's this, incessant chasing of ambition or creation as something that is going to make you happy, something that is then going to fulfill, this void inside of us. And the void that we're feeling is the great separation from the one. It's a separation from her. I call it her. It could be the breath of one. It's that separation. When we separate from that field and come into a body, we're already heartbroken. We're already heartbroken at the very beginning. And then the life, which is beautiful, is trying to find our way back home, trying to find our way. It's like the alchemist, that what you were looking for, you had all along. So she literally just telepathically communed that energetically with me in that moment, in that very vulnerable state, in that state where I was shattered. So there's not tip one, tip two. Like, it's like this force is a mystery, and she is dancing with us mysteriously. And again, the only two elements that I have found to be vital in this equation, if there is an equation, is the true devotion of understanding that you know nothing. The true devotion of understanding that there is a sacred force that is holding this entire movie, this entire Maya, this entire play. And it's a beautiful experience that we've taken a human body, and that we get to come in and try things on, and try this and try that. And that creates evolution. And at the end, we're all just returning home. So maybe it was, I think for me, ultimately for me specifically, is I'm a person that can do a lot of things. And because I can do a lot of things, I've done a lot of things. And the core of my heart is I'm an artist. I'm an artist. I've always been an artist. The first word that I wrote was art when I couldn't even write. And I've been pulled away from that connection for all different reasons. It's no regret, everything perfect, everything divine timing. And for me, my only appointment in my life right now is with the muse. And it's as if I'm pressing my lips on the veil between worlds to allow her to breathe me, to allow her to speak through me, to allow her to guide me in what she wants to transmit through me. And for me, it's music primarily, which makes no logical sense whatsoever, because I'm just going to say I'm 62. I'm struggling with my voice right now. I have not proven to anyone that I'm an expert musician in any way. I recorded a couple albums with my kids that were the joy of my life, and I love them and I'm proud of them. But I haven't done it yet. It's not in yet. It's coming. It's coming. And it'll be the thing that if I'm blessed enough to, express it, it won't be anything expected. It won't be anything that existed before or that I'm not trying to fit into anyone's world. Similar with SriMu, it's a new thing that I've had this heart longing since I was 6 to do. So it makes no logical sense. It is not logical in any way. It is illogical and it is unreasonable, actually. It's unreasonable for me to think that I'm going to create a body of music that anyone's going to give a shit about, which doesn't even matter.
But whether anyone gives a shit about it is not the point,
exactly.
Right? That's irrelevant in the act of creation. But you are somebody who straddles these two worlds, the breadth in between, the ethereal and the material. And I think that was something that, initially attracted me to you, back when we met so long ago. Here's somebody who's so committed to their spiritual life and development, and yet is also somebody who's so capable in the three-dimensional material world. Like when I met you, you were producing yoga retreats at 5-star locations. You had this, garment line. You had built homes, designed homes. You've gone on to, write cookbooks and be an entrepreneur and found this plant-based cheese company, and you have a spiritual community, and you also write music and perform music and paint and sculpt and do all of these things. Like, I'm always astonished at the way, like the conviction that you bring to your own curiosity and the honor that you bring to your own sort of sense of creativity, and as somebody who lives much more in the material world and has artistic tendencies, like the balance is a little bit different in my life. And sometimes it's challenging for me to meet you in that more mystical place. But you've always been my guide and my teacher into those realms that, can be a little bit scary or challenging in terms of confronting you with your own convictions and certainties, right? Like certainty is like this recurring theme or at the root of so much of what divides us. And I think right now we are in this delicate moment of transformation. Everything feels very heightened. We're on the cusp of a very contentious election. There's a lot of uncertainty as to what's going to happen. Social media has divided us and entrenched our sense of certainty about what should be or what's right or what's true and what's not true. And we've kind of galvanized our own convictions and sort of signaled our membership in a variety of tribes that are dictated by our information silos. That are all bespoke depending upon, our particular mobile device in our pocket. And it's wreaking a lot of havoc right now. And we've had lots of conversations about this where you've confronted me with my own sense of certainty about certain things, right? And that's made me, reflect on that as somebody who can get hardened into a sense of what is right and wrong and what is, where is the path of moral rectitude and where is the path of ethical dilemma right now. And it's a confusing time for a lot of people. And I think it is forcing us to confront our own convictions and certainties and biases and things like that. And I think everybody's grappling with that right now. I think everybody wants a sense of being able to be in community with other people, irrespective of their belief systems. And yet it's never felt more challenging to do that. And I think part of it is that I don't know that we're supposed to know everybody's opinions on everything in real time, all the time. And I'm not sure that that's in anybody's best interest when it comes to trying to find a way to cohere as a society and as individuals sitting across from each other one-on-one. So it is confusing. And so I suppose the choice is, do you dig into your own convictions, or do you loosen the reins and allow space for other ideas to, be with other people who see the world differently, and in good faith try to find a way to connect and understand, as opposed to, convince or change people's minds?
Yeah, thank you for that. I think one thing that's really dangerous is and I'm not a political expert, so let's just say that ahead of time, but it's the iron will of a belief system that gets slammed down on the table or slammed down in any environment. As a lover of yoga and meditation and spiritual perspectives, one thing is I always make sure that I mention in Water Tiger, my spiritual community, that I try not to believe anything. I try not to believe anything, because when I believe something and I give it a lot of weight, I've created a separation between me and life, me and you, me and another. As a living energy, and beliefs, if we examine what beliefs are responsible for, you would see that beliefs have been causing violence in our humanity for eons of time. And a state of curiosity is a more loving stance. Not that you have to agree with other people. You're a unique life form. And so as that unique life form, you get to choose your own perspective. You get to live and express that own perspective. But what I would say is that the agendas in the culture right now are trying to fracture us as humans. We've experienced it in our own marriage. It is trying to explode people apart and say these absolute truths or perspectives or events. And what I know is that, again, the truth isn't on either side. It's not extreme all over there, and it's not extreme all over there. And how do we walk in a spiritual life? It's the middle path. It's the middle. The middle, which is the way that you walk through the storm and you reach the expansion. But getting involved in emotions, it's really violence. You feel it in your body. You want to silence another person, make something not so. And remembering that we're creators, so with the energy we create, if I come to you with a hard line in the sand and you feel what that energy is, versus I come to you and say, my love, tell me all about that perspective. Tell me all the reasons that you, I trust you. I love you. I trust you. Please tell me everything that you have learned, that you have read, that you have discovered about that, and share with me, and I'm listening. It doesn't mean that I'm going to believe you 100% or I'm going to agree with you 100%. But my issue or my sadness has been the clamping down of an alternate reality, or the then desire, because I'm not picking a side, or because I don't maybe adhere to some cultural narrative, then putting me in a basket with the others that sort of think the way I think, right? So in this moment, we need to be beacons of love and understanding and connection. And at the end of the day, we're all human, and we just want love and connection and kindness and to be heard and all of these, beautiful attributes. And, I understand that things are very, very weighted right now. And I would say that it is an astrological planetary positioning that is mimicking that of the 60s. And it's by design. So it's if you look at the planetary procession of 26,000 years, we're coming through an age of awakening. This is what we're living through right now. And so if we're in that moment, what is our greatest power? Our greatest power is to love, is to try to relax and understand that we don't know everything, and still vote with your convictions, do what you need to do, live your life, but understand there is no consensus. There are many different perspectives.
But within that, is there not a place for right and wrong and what is true versus not true? And, this is sort of the struggle. Like we are entering into this post-truth world. And I think there is value in honoring what is true and calling out what is not true.
Whose truth?
Well,
which truth?
I think there are things that are true. Yes, everybody has their own truth. Everybody is correct from their own perspective, something you always say. But within that, there are things that are easily identifiable as not true and true. And do we not have an obligation to speak out against the things that are clearly not true in the interest of the collective and the coherence of our society?
Yeah, I mean, that's
so. This is like the thing, but between us, I think sometimes.
Well, it's an absolutely valid perspective, and in the yogi awareness, so there aren't like, well, at least in some tantric lineages, it's not rules. There aren't rules to follow. So at an absolute state, that if you're in alignment with yourself, the action is spontaneous right action. You're not stopping a behavior because there's a barrier there. It's a natural occurrence of being in alignment with who you are. That's the state that I think we're aspiring to. And the thing is that it's just not intelligent for anyone to think that there is just one truth or two truths. There are billions of life forms in this planetary scape, and each one is completely unique and is living their experience of life from a unique perspective. There is no consensus. And so very difficult, like how do we work in, how do we navigate social systems? And, I understand all of that, and that's not my area. I'm just saying that dividing us is not going to be a win for anyone. And if we can just take it down to the daily, where is the violence inside your own being? Where is the violence against your family members, your loved ones? Where is the violence in your community? Can you really understand that each life form is an expression of God, even if you don't like them? It's not consciousness. Consciousness isn't like, well, I favor this party and this is, all the others are wrong. It's just not how it works. And I think it's an over-attachment to intellectual inputs. So much talking, so much pontificating and sharing perspectives all over the place. I think we would do better if people started meditating and getting into the love of their heart and coming into their community and doing something loving, sharing something and getting back to where I was hoping we were going to go. And I really feel that art has a great capacity to be the thing that lifts us to the next expression.
Well, it always has.
Well, and we're at that moment right now. And it's like, as artists, we're infusing our songs, our words, our books, our writings, our paintings with our frequency. And that is being transmitted. And for me, it's the only communication that's pure. It's the only communication that can be trusted at this point. And that takes going to that canvas, to that veil in mystery and saying, I know nothing. Please speak through me. Please lead me, guide me, direct me.
Welcome to my sleep sanctuary. Come on in. So the defining characteristic of this space is my pride and joy, which is the 8-sleep system. You can see this unit here. There is a pad that goes on my mattress that allows me to temperature control my sleep environment. Over time, the 8-sleep system learns what is optimal in terms of ensuring the best night of sleep and makes suggestions about temperature tweaks to give you a better night's rest. And since I've had the 8-sleep system, my sleep quality has been enhanced by a tremendous factor, and it's improved all aspects of my lived experience. If you want to transform your sleep, your energy levels, and overall performance, get the Pod 4 Ultra. So here's what you're going to do. To get $350 off the Pod 4 Ultra, visit 8sleep.com/richroll or simply hit the link in the description below. The answer always being found in more love, more forgiveness, more compassion. Reminds me of our travels to Dharamshala to spend 2 days with the Dalai Lama, whose answer to basically every question that was posed to him was some version of love more.
No, it was love your mother.
Well, yes, and it sort of drilled down onto that, which is sort of equal parts profound and also kind of frustrating and annoying. It's because you travel all this distance and you think you're going to go behind the velvet rope and you're going to get the secret information that has never been imparted before. And the answer is always the same, right?
Yeah. I mean, it was kind of awesome. It was hilarious. It was almost like a setup. It was like a Saturday Night Live skit or like Groundhog's Day or whatever. He just answered the same answer to every question asked for him over 2 days. And it was directly related to the mother, so you cannot leave that out. I mean, that is a key. That was the key.
The answer
point.
is the mother's love. The idea being to inhabit the unconditional love that a mother has for her child.
Yeah.
And if you can inhabit that spirit, that sensibility, that bond, all your answers lie within that.
And healing the relationship with the mother.
Yeah, it's very confronting.
It was very confronting. I like how you always sort of shifted a little bit off, but he was very, very direct with that. And I think he just kept answering the same answer because the questions are futile. It was an answer to stop asking all the questions. Like, just go back to the beginning. Go back to the beginning. And also understand Mother Earth. We are Mother Earth, we are nature, and all the ways where we have, behaved unloving to her, and then look at all the ways that our culture has brutalized the feminine. So for eons of time, thousands and thousands of years. So all the keys are in the mother, and the mother's love is unconditional. The mother is not punishing one child for having a different belief. The mother is all loving.
Well, the ideal mother is.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
This is not across the board.
No, it's
the
not.
mother-child bond.
No, exactly. And you have a very difficult relationship with your mother.
So it was confronting in that it forced me to really move towards that challenging relationship that I have and find a way to heal it. Because basically what he's saying is like, the thing that's holding you back is this wound that you have. And if you could heal that, that's going to, kind of open you up to the experience that I'm trying to, basically explain to you.
Amen.
Yeah.
His Holiness.
Yeah. I'm still trying to figure out how to do that though.
Yeah. I mean, it's the key to everything. It's the key to everything. So, we're just not separate. We're not separate. I was coming here today and I had chipped nail polish on my hands because I'm an artist and I don't have time to go. I don't like doing that stuff. But anyway, so I had to stop and I had to like take my chip nail polish off before I came in. And I was looking at my mother's hands. It was my mom's hands that were taking the nail polish off. And I was really conscious of just how often my mother is sitting inside of me, and also my father. My father is in my body. Like I'll just be going through the day and he's present in my physical body. And, we're in illusion that we think that we're separate. And we think that, one idea is superior to another idea. We're all in this experience together.
But some ideas are better than others.
Well, you obviously believe that.
Yeah, I do. I do believe that.
I don't think it's helping you. I really don't think it's helping you. It's better in
It's fundamentally true, though. Not all ideas are good ideas.
Well, you don't know because you wouldn't know because let's say an idea that may look like a bad idea from this perspective, if you had a different perspective, it might be a great idea. Like if you were an ant, a great idea to an ant might be a really bad idea to a human. Do you see?
Sure, but
you're talking about humans.
To a mentally imbalanced teenager, it might occur to that person that it's a good idea to go shoot up the school. That's fundamentally a bad idea, would you not say? I guess you could telescope out and say, well, over the course of time, maybe it turned out to be good because this and that happened, but that's a very hard argument to
that's
make.
A very,
So I'm saying, but I'm just saying, if you look at the extremes, clearly there are bad ideas out there.
Well, in the arms of consciousness, you cannot say that because consciousness is the one that is holding all the mess. I started writing a song yesterday, was given to me, A Beautiful Mess. I feel that's what we're in right now, a beautiful mess. And an opportunity to understand that we are co-creating the world we want to live in. And so if you like an idea and you feel that that idea is an idea that is benefiting the all, then go serve that idea. Go spread the love. And if you have an idea that causes another person harm or exclusion, as a mother consciousness, I would have to say, maybe that's not a great idea. Maybe it's not a great idea.
All right.
And so the thing is,
we're arriving, into shared upon reality here.
We can stay married.
Okay. Yeah, good.
Today.
We're not going to get divorced today.
Today.
Okay. On the subject of feeling your mother and feeling your father, you recently went to Alaska, where you grew up, to deposit their ashes. They've both since passed away. Your father several years ago, your mother more recently. But I'm curious around that experience and how that kind of connected you more deeply to who they were.
Yeah. Yeah. So my mom transitioned on December 5th. And I was really happy for her. She had been bedridden for a couple years. She was 96. And she transitioned beautifully. So it was something that I had talked to her about. She was very generous and very funny. We actually shared our love of big rings. This is the ring that you bought me in Rajasthan after we were with the Dalai Lama. No one has a bigger ring than that.
That ring is gigantic.
That ring is gigantic. So we shared this love of rings. And actually, when she was taking her last breath, I was at her bedside and running energy through her. And she had her eyes closed. And she opened her eyes and looked at my eyes. And she did a very interesting thing. She opened and shut her mouth 3 times, really wide, and then closed. And she did it 3 times. And then I had the ring, not this ring, I had my dom and her ring and my bracelet on this hand. And she looked in my eyes and clocked the ring and then came back to my eyes. And then she never took another breath. And it was this beautiful exit, also hilarious because she and I, the minute I came in her room, it was like, let me try on your ring. And when I traveled around the world, I would always bring her big rings. So it was kind of like our little special thing that we shared. And, I was sharing that, feeling my parents in my body. And one of the things you reminded me about when I had surgery, the day I came back, I was, of course, drugged up, and I was sitting on the couch, and I walked in and the boys were in the middle of a yoga practice, and Tyler came over and put someone else's hat on my head. I think it's my dad's hat or someone else's hat on my head, but a cowboy hat. And somebody took a picture, and I felt my mom sitting inside of me during the recovery, like she was with me, stroking my arms. And the boys came up, I think it was Tyler came up that afternoon, and he said, Mom, he's like, the weirdest thing just happened. Like, you freaked us out totally. Like, when you were sitting on the couch, they were like, Abuela was there. Like, she was you. And I hadn't told them that I was having this experience with her. So anyway, my sister Vicky, bless her, want to recognize my sister Vicky and her husband Joe and daughter Maggie for taking care of my parents for 5 years. They lived with them, and my dad passed away like 8 years ago, and we had thought my mom would follow soon. He was 92. And my mom stayed around for like 8 more years. And so Vicky wanted to go up. They lived in Alaska, had careers in Alaska. My parents, I was raised in Alaska, and they were very, very involved in the community. My mom had a clothing store there for over 30 years. She dressed most of the people in town for their important events. And my father was a structural engineer and built many of the art centers, schools, hospitals, museums for the native corporations. In particular, David Chipperfield's museum, the Anchorage Museum, was a $72 million museum that my dad worked on. So they had big careers there, like a big life there, and they raised their 5 children there. And so they had a crypt, and we were waiting to take the ashes together up there. So I broke my elbow, and I couldn't even think about going up there. And then finally saw the opening, and Vicky and I decided, okay, we're going to go do that. And so our other siblings were not able to make it. So it was Vicky and me, and then Tyler came with, and my brother Stuart. And we traveled up to Alaska. We rented the Alaska Heritage Center. It's a Native Heritage Center, which my dad helped build. And when my dad took me there, he had taken me to this Athabascan ceremonial house that is one of the most beautiful. It's got a totem pole in the front that's not carved, but there's a portal hole, like an oval hole that you crawl through, and then you're inside their community gathering space. There's a fire pit. There's different totem poles on all 4 directions. And we were able to rent a cabin at my dad's special place. And my sister ran the obituary. We were like 8 years late. My mom passed away in December, but was not in touch with very many people. And, I was like, Vicky, like, no one's coming, like, no one's around anymore. But what happened is we gathered about 30 super special people, really, really dear, dear relationships of my parents, of my sister, of mine, of my brothers. And we had a memorial there for them. I had SriMu cheese boards along with smoked salmon, which was donated by one of the guests there. And we then walked through the cultural center, and we crawled through this portal in the Athabascan house, and we sang for my parents. And it was perfect, like incredibly, incredibly beautiful. Stuart and Kelly Moneymaker, who was Stuart's wife for 8 years when they were in their 20s. She was up there, and she's been doing incredible work with the natives. She's doing documentaries and really working with the cultures up there and bringing awareness to climate change and how it's affecting their tribes and clans. I learned when I was up there, I was invited to a shaman meeting that Kelly arranged with 4 women that were from different Alaska tribe lineages. And it was to introduce Damanhur to them and SriMu to them. And what I learned is that in Alaska, there are 32 microclimates and there are 200 dialects. So they didn't like me using the name clan or even tribe because they said that that's a colonialized term that's been placed on them. But I had told this beautiful woman, her English name is Jackie, that I wanted to wait until I had my ritual name from Damanhur, which was Blue Whale, Balanotara Edzura, before I came to meet her. And when I told her that that was my ritual name, she said to me, in my language, my name means the one who summons the whale.
You told me that.
Yeah. So it was incredible. And 4 times during the meeting, I completely lost my orientation, which usually that doesn't happen to me. But it was a very beautiful meeting of energies of the way of life. They also live in dream time. They live a very spiritual connected life to nature. And I'm looking forward to all the relationships that is opening up to me and to Kelly and SriMu and Jackie and Maida also, and some of the others, Amelia. So I'm inviting, some of them are coming to Damanhur with me, which is really great. But anyway, to have been able to be in the Native Heritage Center and honor my parents in that way was one of the most extraordinary experiences. And my sister made an amazing slideshow of my parents' life. And she had reminded me that I interviewed my mom on my podcast for The Life of Me many years ago, maybe 2017. And so Vicky said, it would be great if we played a piece of the podcast and everyone could hear Mom's voice. And so we just randomly chose a section of the podcast, and it was the section of the podcast where Mom is talking about the song Moon River and about how Moon River had become the song of our family. And she tells the story of Stuart opening for Jewel, the recording artist, and him coming out on stage, and I think it was at the Hard Rock Cafe in Vegas. And he says, I'd like to dedicate the song to my parents. And he sang Moon River to them that night. So we listened to the whole song because the Stuart song was recorded on the episode. So the song then played. And then when we went to the ceremonial hut, and first Stuart and Kelly played, then Tyler and Stuart played, then Tyler and I sang 500 Miles. And then at the end, Tyler played and sang Moon River. And so it seemed as if we had planned the whole sequence of events, but we hadn't planned anything. And it's just the way that it all landed. In addition, I had this desire. I was going to take some of my parents' ashes, and I was going to charter a helicopter and go up on a glacier and release their ashes on this glacier. I've done it before. If you travel to Alaska, it's really a shame to not go up in a helicopter or a plane because you can't understand where you are unless you go up. And so I had this booked. I had paid for it. And Tyler was going to come with me. And Tyler went to dinner with one of my brother's friends. And he shared with him that there had been 3 fatal helicopter crashes in July in Alaska in this particular helicopter that I was to go up in. So I pivoted and chartered a boat, and we went out on Prince William Sound, which is in this fishing village, which has a lot of nostalgia for my childhood. And so we drove our car through the longest tunnel in the United States and arrived at this fishing village. And much to my wonder and awe, this abandoned building called the Buckner Building, where I explored as a child, was still there, abandoned. I took one of the best pictures of my life then. And then we went out on the boat. The captain was this beautiful girl from Laguna. The sound was glass. We saw eagles, a bear, sea lions, sea otter, and multiple glaciers. And we arrived at this waterfall. The waterfall must be called Angel Waterfall. It looks like an angel. And to the left of it was this great elder face in the rocks. And it really looked like Easter Island. And my mom is from Chile. So it looked like it was their spot. And so my brother and I deposited their ashes in honor of the 5 children in all that they gave to us. And it was beautiful, like pristine, beautiful, amazing.
That's quite a story. And it was quite a love affair that your parents had. It's a remarkable love story. It's very cinematic. I think we've told the story before on the podcast, but for people who are newer, who may not know, your dad was from Amarillo, Texas. Your mom is from Chile, from Santiago. They met because your mom, correct me if I'm wrong, was a secretary working for the American Geological Society in Santiago. She was engaged to an American engineer who perished in the context of performing his job, which was mapping the jungle for...
He drowned.
He drowned. Okay. And your father was his replacement.
So she was engaged to be married, and a month before their wedding, she received the teletype message that he had drowned. Because she was the secretary.
Yeah.
He was working for the same company. And my father was mapping the jungles in the Amazon, and he was his replacement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a larger-than-life sort of Indiana Jones type character who was a bush pilot, a hunter and fisherman who would go out on the glaciers for weeks on end and knew his way around the outdoors, let's say, and sort of moved his family from Colorado to Anchorage, much to the chagrin of your siblings. And
a nightmare.
Uprooted the whole family.
It was not a conscious parent choice at all.
And your mother, was sort of reared in a very proper household, is very kind of, stylish and cosmopolitan. It's sort of a Green Acres kind of thing, right? Mm-hmm. Like your dad is, got the cowboy hat on and the shotgun, and your mom is, dressed to the nines. It's just kind of hilarious.
It's
right?
like I told the story at the memorial that when Skype first was invented and we Skyped with mom the first time, like she showed up in like a fur for the Skype. I was like, oh my God, it's Mick Jagger.
Yeah. And your house, I visited your home in Anchorage many years ago. Is just filled with, animal heads everywhere and, artifacts collected from your father's life.
That's right. And I now have the skulls. Yeah. I didn't accept any fur things, but I have the skulls.
Which is, which is sort of, curious in the context of our plant-based lifestyle.
It's way off brand. Yeah. But I have to say, my dad, in the later years, he would just come in the kitchen and just say, how is this taste this good when it doesn't have salt pork in it? Mm-hmm. So
he used to come to LA before they moved here, and he had a favorite restaurant, right, where they would like serve pig knuckles and stuff like that. Yeah, that you would have to take him to.
Some German nightmare situation. I don't know. I can't even remember. Like the Black Forest or something like that. Ugh. And horrifying.
And I love the story about kind of the music passing down from generation to generation. Music is a kind of a recurring theme in your family, and you say like, oh, you are this musician. It's in your genes. Your brother, was a very well-respected musician who, as you mentioned, played with Jewel, but he also played with Lucinda Williams. He was in the Wallflowers, had a very kind of accomplished, storied career. And now we're seeing kind of Tyler and Trapper pick up that mantle and pursue their musical career. And Kelly, Stewart's first wife, also a very accomplished musician.
Yeah.
Interestingly.
She is. And it was...
What was the band that she was in? I always forget. Expose. But it was like an 80s... It had a moment in the 80s, right?
But it was also so bizarre. Okay, so we're talking about mysticism and like the life and whatever. Okay, so I don't know if you guys remember, but I may have shared on the podcast that when I was opening the cafe in Memphis, Tennessee, I was looking for fabric for the banquette that's in the cafe. And I drove sort of out of Memphis, not out, just, down the road a bit, and went into this little teeny shop. And to my left was the exact fabric that was my first fashion collection that was on the cover of iMagnin. Like 33 years later, I'm looking at the fabric of my collection. So, and it's the same color scheme. It's black and gold. So it really freaked me out. It was like a sign, like, oh, you're here. You're in the right place. It's a breadcrumb that's there, that it's just so random, not random. So anyway, so all this time passes, and I'm getting ready to go up to Alaska and have the memorial, have the meeting with the native tribes. Like, I'm introducing Dom and her, connecting with Kelly. And Mathis, our daughter, out of the blue, decides to go online and search Julie Piatt clothing. And she buys this vest, she sends me the Etsy listing for this vest that was from the same collection. And I'm like, oh my God, that's wild. Like, there it is. And then I go, oh, wait a second. Kelly wore my collection when she was in the band Expose. Expose wore the collection. It was in the LA Times. It was for Gorbachev, like children charity something that happened. I thought it was for the AMAs, but it wasn't. It was like Gorbachev charity, whatever. And they were photographed in my collection, and it was in the LA Times. I mean,
and now they're selling it on Etsy.
But how weird, just that I was just on my way to see Kelly. I wasn't even remembering that she had done that. And then my daughter just pulls in that thread. So then Kelly bought the vest to give to Jeanette, the lead singer, like 40 years later or whatever. So it was just another nod of that, how connected we all are, and how beautiful the mystic guidance is, and these signs, and if we choose to listen and see them as such.
It's a good place to take a quick break.
Okay.
Over the last decade of hosting this podcast, my mission has been to engage in what I consider to be critically important conversations about the things that matter most in life. While I'm immensely grateful for the growth of this show, I've also come to realize that my voice alone is not enough. This mission cannot be a solitary endeavor. So I wanted to find a way to help amplify other meaningful voices. And the result is Voicing Change Media, this beautiful consortium of thinkers, storytellers, artists, and visionaries, all committed to fostering meaningful exchanges, intentionally curated for those committed to the path of self-discovery. Together, we're creating a space of growth, a space of understanding, where every exchange has the potential to enrich our lives and catalyze profound personal and planetary change. Visit voicingchange.media to learn more and subscribe. All right, what else you got?
What else I got?
Yeah.
I got an offer for the RRPs.
You got goodies on the table here.
I got goodies. You know what I thought? I would love to offer the RRP listeners a really exciting giveaway. We wanted to do something a little bit different than just giving a code, just to say thank you and connect more deeply with people who want to know and experience SriMu. So what we'd like to offer is we're giving away 3 12-month subscriptions of a 2-wheel box of SriMu, which is pretty amazing. And so that'll be shipped to your home or office every month. And then we're also going to include our 3 cookbooks. My cookbook, This Cheese is Nuts, which has amazing recipes of how to make plant-based cheese at home, but also companion recipes of how you can use your SriMu in your meals. And then also our gorgeous Plantpower Italia book, which is really, really a work of art. There's so many incredible recipes in this book. And this has a lot of the kind of nostalgia and experience of coming on retreat with us in Italy. So we wanted to share that. And then the OG, the Plantpower Way, which is really sort of the foundation of plant curious or plant-based eating. And it has all of our family's recipes from the early days. Really proud of this book still. Mm-hmm. And it's just a really good standard, beautiful, beautiful book. No fake meat. really only tofu, maybe in a couple places. It's really using pure ingredients and made with love. All of this food was created and seeded on the island of Kauai when we were there launching the podcast and creating recipes in our test kitchen. And I hope you'll join the giveaway. You just have to go to a link and sign up, fill out the form.
So you go to SriMu.com.
No, we're going to give you we have a specific link that's going to go in the show notes.
Oh, okay. So I'll put the link in the show notes on the episode page at richroll.com. And also, if you're watching this on YouTube, in the description below.
Yay. All right. Thanks.
But yeah, these cookbooks spawned a lot. And it's interesting to look back on them.
It's crazy.
The Plantpower Way, the cover, like the kids are so young.
I know. We're so young.
And the Plantpower Way, Italia, is sort of the sleeper book. Mm-hmm. I think it is a work of art, and it brings back so many memories, but it's really beautifully rendered. I'm very proud of that book. Proud of you for that book.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that's a very generous giveaway.
Yeah. I thought it would be sort of cool to just share. It's kind of like the anthology of like what led to SriMu. Mm-hmm. Because when I was doing the Plantpower Way, I wasn't trying to launch a plant-based company or artisanal cheese.
Well, you weren't even trying to do that when you wrote the This Cheese is Nuts book on how to make plant-based cheese.
Exactly. I was just in the exploration.
I mean, the SriMu is really a product of people saying, I love the book's great, but like, can't you just make it for me and like, I'll buy it from you.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how's it all going?
It's going really, really well. A lot of super exciting things going on. One of the funnest things of recent was that we have a couple sandwiches on a menu at an extraordinary deli called B&T's Deli on Montana Avenue in Santa Monica. And Britt and Terrence are the owners, and they're longtime podcast listeners, or maybe not so long time, but they went plant-based because of us. And they connected with our team, and you know, I have to say that they have created two of the most delicious sandwiches that I've ever eaten in my life with my product, but also their menu is extraordinary. I think sandwiches in general for me are always disappointing. Like often when I'll order a sandwich, like the bread's not right or the sauce isn't right or it's dry. It's just like ordering a sandwich for me in general is not high up on the list. Also because I don't eat cheese. Maybe that sort of makes the options less exciting. But these guys have created an exceptional menu. They're using a lot of mushrooms and all the flavors and high-end pickles, like really deli. It's deli luxe. And so the sandwich that you and I were at the launch for last weekend is called Le Bon Bertie. And it is a French sauteed leek, homemade balsamic glaze with arugula, and they use our SriMu camembert flavor, which is called Birdie. When I bit into it, I thought I was eating real gooey French camembert, actually to the point that I called my kitchen to inquire about the level of the cultures and what's going on. And nothing has changed there. Everything is stable, same. So it is all the flavors together that have produced this next level sandwich experience. Now, coming up next month, they're going to release debut another sandwich. It's called the Gold Standard, and that's using gold alchemy, which is the turmeric infused. So I hope you guys will check that out. That's really cool. And then really exciting, and this is a dream come true, I've been really desiring to enter into the SriMu shop. Like, I love the experience with people eating SriMu. Like, that exchange with people eating the product and then telling me their experience and describing the flavors, nothing beats it because it's such a unanimous winner. And that is no matter how you're eating. So SriMu's plant-rich, paleo, gluten-free, keto, raw, dairy-free, organic, and kosher. So what happened is I was in CB2 Malibu, and I love the design there, and I cruised in there to get some props for shooting, and I met
CB2 is a modern furniture store,
national,
basically.
The beautiful furniture line. And I met Kerr, who is the general manager of Malibu, and I had rented and taken out some platters for a shoot because I was photographing SriMu. And then the universe made her read my mind, and she called me and said, I have something really exciting to ask you, but would you have a pop-up SriMu shop inside CB2 for the month of November in Malibu? And I was like, hell yeah, I would. So we are going to be in residence, a pop-up shop in CB2 Malibu during the month of November. We have a fancy new cart that we just acquired that has refrigeration and freezer. And I'm very, very honored. It's such a beautiful design and aesthetic. And I'm just honored to be able to share SriMu. So we're going to be doing 2 activation events. One is an evening wine event on the 7th of November, and then we're doing an afternoon event on the 17th of November on a Sunday. So if you're in the LA area, mark your calendar and come in and say hi.
Yeah, it's very cool. It's very cool. And you have a bunch of other kind of interesting deals percolating also, right?
I do.
I don't know if you can talk about those.
No, I do. I mean, I can talk about it. I'm just not going to show it. But so we're very nearing the release of 2 really amazing products. One is a butter, which I'm just teasing it here. It's the best thing you've ever experienced. There's nothing like it on the market, and you'll have to see.
It's pretty good.
This is like my garment. In the garment days when I was selling fashion, we'd be like, I want to sell you a pair of pants. It looks kind of like this glass, but it's not this glass. I actually did sell stuff that way. But this butter is absolutely extraordinary. It's in the shape of a pyramid. It is the best thing you have ever tasted. And the packaging is an evolution from our current packaging. It's really a novelty product, and it is going to rock your world. So I'll look forward to rolling that out. It's going to happen very soon. So just follow along, and maybe next time I come on, I can bring the butter.
Awesome.
And then also, I do want to share my Cloud9 formulation. I want to talk a little bit about it because I have code for people that just want a code for some extraordinary cashew mozzarella that will rock your world and is better and unparalleled in the market. It is the next evolution of mozzarella. It floats through your digestion like a prayer. It is so good. So I wanted to share that as well.
And mozzarella, just for people that don't know, it's not like the dried sprinkle mozzarella. It's like the mozzarella balls that are suspended in like a brine.
It's
right? Like
shipped in crystal salted waters. Yeah. It's a full legit
It's
mozzarella.
Unbelievable. And you can like weave it into pasta. You can put it on a sandwich also. There's so many like interesting applications.
I made a beautiful sort of like fall herb board for you.
Awesome. Do you want to grab that?
Yeah.
Should we bring that over?
Yeah. And so this is mozzarella, which I've made it on a traditional heirloom tomato, but you can also just have beautiful crostinis and some beautiful radicchio and dill to garnish. This is kind of a twist on a caprese. Also, all the beautiful fall colors with figs. This product is just an extraordinary formulation, and I think you're just going to love it. So
beautiful. What's the code?
The code is RRP Cloud 9, the number 9.
All right. And what do you get? What's the discount?
You get
22% discount.
Right.
What have you been learning on your entrepreneurial journey that you think would be helpful to people who are watching or listening?
Yeah, I mean,
it's hard. It's hard to be a startup founder. You're a CEO. You have to manage people. You have to, balance the budget. You got to market. You have to wear so many hats, and every single day it's just, challenge, obstacle, challenge, obstacle.
Yeah, I mean, isn't it? It's just, I think one of the greatest wisdom that I can share right now is that nobody knows what's going on, right? There is no formula. There's no formula that's working. There's no certainty in past historical trends. And I think that the greatest asset that we can have is being able to adapt in the moment and to really, really stay in the beauty of what you're doing, the relationships that you're creating. My team is extraordinary. My product is extraordinary. And we are all working and creating at the highest level that we can to keep innovating, to keep seeing the opening. And I don't think that any one lane is the ticket. Like it's everything all at once, and then tracking in real time what's working and what isn't working, and pivoting and shifting.
It is a right brain, left brain kind of exercise, right? Because fundamentally what you're saying is you have to trust your intuition. You have to kind of be present and check in with yourself about what feels like the right direction or kind of decision to make. But you have to balance that against all these people that come in, money people, like, oh, I've done startups, or I've raised money, or I'm a venture capitalist, or I'm an investment banker, or I'm a private equity guy, and here's how you do it. Like, and here's how I grew this other company from X to Z, or whatever it is, right? And that can be intoxicating and also confusing, right? Like, do I trust this person? Is that the right avenue for me? Sometimes, especially when your back is up against the wall and you feel challenged, you want to feel like somebody's going to come and just make it all okay, right? You know what I mean? And like solve all of your problems. And I think one of the lessons that I think you keep learning, or you've learned, time and time again, is that, no one's coming to save you. Like, it really is a journey that you're on, and it is your intuition that has always kind of like guided you. And that doesn't mean that there aren't people that come in and you're like, this is the right person to add to my team, or I should listen to this person. But trusting your own counsel and your trusted circle of people to run these kind of decisions by, I think I've watched you do that time and time again. Feels like it's like a fundamental kind of part of, how you make decisions about how to guide this mothership. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, it's definitely going to be unique for me. It's unique for each entrepreneur. Like, you have your own path, it's not a cookie cutter formula. And I also think that I've been cured of some of that illusion just miles on the road and being excited and then going into expectations and then finding out, that's not in alignment. I think the number one key thing is to be very discerning about the money that you take and who you align with. It's really everything. And I will say, though, that now in my evolution, in the beginning years, like, she was my baby and I had to keep her pure, and I had to do it on my own. I had to name it what I wanted to name it. I had to do all the formulations. I had to do the branding. I had to really choose the investors and how I wanted to invest, choose the stores that I even wanted to be in. And I've done all that very, very intentionally. And now she is at a place that she is ready to go to the next expansion. So I have margins perfected, production perfected, facilities, health certifications, organic certifications. There isn't any formulation in the market that gets anywhere near what I've created. And I already have 40 other formulations. Like, I'm on a leash right now. So right now, I'm also, like, in my state of mother, that is evolving. And so as the mother of SriMu, I'm now stewarding her into her next expansion. It's not like I have to hold her in a certain state and I have to iron will control everything. She's been fully birthed in all those different ways. And I want her to reach millions. It's a global vision. I've been contacted from people in the EU recently. The vision is big. And I am an artist, and I have done a beautiful expression of what my gift is. And I am a great leader, and I have a great team, and I'm so grateful for them. And there's more to move it out. So now's the time that I'm open to that next relationship. And, I'm sitting on, as my friend Christina Carlino told me, I'm sitting on $1 billion entity. Not today, not in today's dream, but it's all here. So, after the elbow break, I reassessed a lot of things in my life, and she just has a very exciting timeline in this world. People absolutely love this product. So anyway, it's going to be an amazing.
Yeah, it is exciting. I mean, you have nailed the product, like all the fundamentals and the essentials are like sort of taken care of. And you're at that stage where all the things that you did to get it to this place are not the same things that you need in order to get to that next place. It's like the natural evolution of any business. Like I went through it with this, like kicking and screaming and probably too late and all of that, and had to learn some of those lessons the hard way. But you're a much more seasoned serial entrepreneur. Like you've been in this place before a couple times. And so you seem to be welcoming it. Like you're like, bring it on. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. As opposed to, no, I need to control every little detail, or if I let anyone else touch it, it's not going to be the same, and all of that kind of stuff. Right.
No, I mean, I've done a lot of things, and I've made a lot of courageous moves. I mean, I moved my company across the country, and I've had to make, changes in my team, or the universe has made changes in my team that has been very, a very intense experience. There's been a lot of growth and a lot of evolution and a lot of perfection, but it's like now we're sitting with all of the inputs, like they're all there. So now all it is a matter of eyes on her and how that's going to be. Mm-hmm. And we're moving into food service. I can announce this now. We're going to be doing a partnership with Urban Remedy, which is really exciting.
That's super exciting.
It's super
that was
great.
The thing I was trying to tease. I wasn't sure whether you could say that out loud yet.
And, very aligned with Nika, the founder. She's an extraordinary
and explain
woman.
what Urban Remedy is.
So Urban Remedy is an amazing, it's high vibrational food. It's raw nutrition, and it's kiosks in.
Yeah, it's like grab and go kiosks all over the place.
Really high vibe food. And, Nika is just an amazing, incredible entrepreneur that has created something extraordinary. And we've been trying to get on with them for a while, but as a new company, we had to go through the safety process. And, it's all miles on the road. Like,
it's all those little things you don't realize you have to contend with, from, what goes on the label and the size of the typeface and, what is, required in order to get your organic certification, and all of these kind of regulatory hurdles that you're constantly having to overcome. Yeah. Like it's never ending.
It's never ending. And also just, a new company like mine, like we really need support. Like I'm so grateful for the RRP listeners that have ever ordered from us, the ones who subscribe. It is keeping us alive. Like it is really, really, really appreciated, and it makes a big difference. And just reminding everybody that we make the most extraordinary gift for the holidays, for Thanksgiving, for Christmas. It's such great packaging. And it's consumable, and it'll be novel and interesting. So we're just ready to serve. And really, the core of SriMu is community. It's all about that food in the mouth experience, that exchange. And like at B&T's last weekend, it was so cute. Like these 3 young girls came up, like maybe in their late teens, and they were just, going through every flavor and just loving all of it. And it's always so fun to have food bring us together, because food is really the most powerful ritual that we have as a humanity. And so maybe rather than separating and getting caught in constriction of fear of what's going to come, of what is going to happen, maybe we should show up at our neighbors with a beautiful box of SriMu and find a way to commune, find the commonality, find the connection, because I guarantee you at the core of every human being are the same desires, drives, hopes, dreams, and needs.
Mm-hmm.
We're not separate and we're not different. And I really believe in humanity. I know I don't like to have beliefs, but I have a lot of
You're holding on to that one?
I'm holding on to one in humanity.
You have certainty around that?
Certainty around it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
this is going to be your doom.
I have to. It's celebration of humanity. You know, it's like humans are amazing life forms, incredible life forms. And there are also many other life forms on this planet that we are going to be entering into.
Less incredible?
Oh, no, more incredible, like the trees. Or let's talk about mycelium, or the mountain, the stones that hold the rocks, the water that holds the codes and the memories of our entire planet, the ice, you know, the ice that I was communing with in Alaska. It's like what's really weird right now is, I would say one of the changes since the visitation experience, I see beings in nature. I always saw beings in nature. Like, I'd be like, oh yeah, I can see that. It is on amplified beyond to the exponential. I am literally seeing faces, beings floating out of different mountains, trees, leaves, like it's all over the place. And maybe it's a heightened creativity. Maybe it's from all those years. I was talking about the abandoned building, the Buckner building in Anchorage. It was this military building that had a bowling alley, a prison, a jail, a bowling alley, a jail, a ballroom, a surgical suite, and it had an underground tunnel that led to the electric company. And as a kid, we played in that building. It was like The Shining. And we didn't have iPhones. We couldn't like, you know, shine it down we were just us. And I have a scar on my leg where I fell and cut my leg on a beer bottle that broke. We were going to drink one beer with like...
When you were in high school?
No, not even high school, like junior high, less. And the crazy thing is that we hiked those mountains behind the Buckner building in Prince William Sound all day, every day, without any supervision. No bear spray, no phone, no water, no gun. No one even knew where we were. And that experience was just really impressed upon me this time, especially being out on the boat and in the Sound and seeing all the wildlife. And I brought a stone back from one of the beaches that we stopped on as the frequency of that place of my childhood where I lived with nature, I lived on the edge like nobody knew.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of amazing that you ended up unscathed from all those experiences.
A miracle.
But people were dying all the time, right? Like, oh, well, Joe, didn't make it back from whatever. Like a bear got him or somebody fell down a crevasse.
Yeah, in my brother's, definitely in my brother in my high school, like my brother was a pallbearer in about 8 of his friends died when he was in high school. That's a lot.
That is a lot.
And it was maybe one from suicide, but a lot of it from, motorcycle accident, car accident.
Well, those are more normal. But yeah, snow machine, bears, glacier, bush
one of
plane,
our friends fell
fishing.
Off a cornice in Denali in high school.
Wow.
And you always had this feeling like Alaska is unforgiving. So I was just talking to the guys in the break and sharing about Alaska, and it was like, the nature is so pristine that it's the best day you've ever had in your life. Like that boat trip that I did with Tyler and Stuart and putting my parents in the Sound. It's one of the best days of my life. And then the hanging of the depression. And I was trying to get into what is the sadness that is felt in that land? Is it the sadness of the indigenous peoples? Like, it's intense. Like, it is not, we couldn't wait to leave. I mean, we loved it, but we also were like, we got to go.
Well, there's a gravity to it. It's heavy. Like, anything can happen. Like, you are in danger there. Plus, it's gray and it's precipitating all the time and it's cold. So it's like, it's not exactly, conducive to like, a cheery mood.
especially not for you.
Yeah, I struggle with
it would
that
be really
tremendously.
Bad. Yeah. So it was wild. I mean, I would say that it definitely cracked open my literary creativity, and Skolnick has been encouraging me to write that memoir as soon as possible.
Yeah.
You know, I've had some pretty profound experiences there, and and it's by the grace of God that I'm alive. It's by the grace of God that we're all alive.
On that subject of being hopeful or having this belief in humanity, and you were mentioning like, oh, the trees and the mycelium, I was reminded of this experience I just had attending the retreat, the summit for Regen Ventures, which is this venture fund that I'm on the advisory board of, that was founded by a guy called Dan Fitzgerald, who's an amazing individual who comes from the investment banking world, and in part due to the tragic death of his daughter, his wife, and his daughter Frankie, who died, I believe, at age 9, 2 years ago. From a rare form of cancer, he made a career transition and decided to figure out a way to take his skill set and leverage it for the benefit of all. And he created this venture fund that invests in very cutting edge climate solution regenerative technologies. And so I got to spend a day and a half with Dan and his collection of founders, who are all young people doing wild shit. Like you mentioned mycelium, there was a founder there who's basically creating a library, a collection of like every form of mycelium known to man, and is on this like discovery mission, and what can be learned from that data set in terms of like new applications for all kinds of things that would, be a more sustainable solution to many of the products that, we now use. There was a young Chinese chemistry PhD from Cambridge who has figured out how to create leather in the way that, by way of a process I don't fully understand, that has some, kind of bear some relationship to what Uma Valetti is doing to create meat, right? Like creating real leather, but not from an animal.
Right.
There was a guy who figured out there's a microbe that exists in the calderas of volcanoes that could be replicated, that sequesters carbon, and I guess somehow also is a way of producing food, like crazy stuff, right? So I left that experience hopeful, like here are young people, really smart young people who are identifying and executing on like these amazing solutions. There was an Irish founder who, him and his partners have created this robot that crawls along the bottom of the ocean and plants seagrass to like regenerate the sort of underwater ecosystems, like really cool stuff.
Yeah.
So there is like, I too believe in humanity, and I can get caught up in my, dystopian, gloom scenarios.
Yeah. But and really like in the election, like whoever wins, it's not the end of our civilization. Like it's just.
I hope not.
Of course it's not. Of course it's not.
Well, civilizations end all the time.
Well, I know, but I mean, what I mean is it's not the end of life on Earth. Maybe I should say it's not the end of life on Earth. I mean, and the point that we could remember if we wanted to, is remember the energy you're putting out in the world. So counter it with holding the vision that of course nothing's going to happen. Of course it's going to be guided. Of course it's going to be much better than what we feared. Of course, all you have to fear is fear itself. It's just not, we've been in similar spots throughout the evolution of our society. It's not the worst time. And it's also the best time. So where are you going to invest your energy? Because where you put your attention is what expands. So we should put more into celebrating these incredible, innovative, fresh human minds and hearts that are creating a better world, And you can say, well, that's not intelligent, or that's too Pollyanna, or it's too, but we are going to start to realize more and more how much our thoughts create our reality, and how much the mind is affecting the quality of life, the state of mind. And if we're intelligent enough to choose, why not choose an expansive scenario instead of a horrible scenario? So I just, life will go on no matter what happens. Just get some SriMu.
Get
some SriMu.
Putting a button on it with the plug.
Yeah, get some SriMu. Okay. Remember that you are loved and celebrated no matter who you are listening to this podcast. And go out and be with the ones you love. Be a bridge. Reach a hand out to someone. And go out in nature. And create whatever it is that's inside your heart that you love. What your biggest desire is. What your biggest excitement is. Go to your biggest excitement and concentrate on that. And, what will be, will be,
Well put. I did want to say, I love the idea that you're kind of expanding your offerings and kind of moving into this exploration with food service. And on that point, if you're a restaurateur, if you're a chef, if you're a caterer, if you're, I don't know, anybody who is in that food world, and this interests you, you should definitely reach out to Julie. It's cool that SriMu is finding its way onto menus in various restaurants and in these sort of boutique shops, because we think of it it's either you order it through the website or it's in some grocery store, right? And right now it's in Erewhon in Los Angeles, but there are all these other kind of cool, more community-based opportunities that are more connected to this idea of community building, right? When you're on the menu on a sandwich in a small little restaurant or little shop, and people are walking in off the street and there's a story to be told, that's a different experience.
Totally different experience. And we are actually, we have a chocolate mousse actually that's doing very well in food service right now. That's incredible. So
you can get it at the Magic Castle, right?
That's right, Magic
LA.
Castle.
So if you go to the Magic Castle, most famous sort of magic experience in the world is sort of this iconic institution here in Los Angeles.
That's right.
Your dessert is on the menu there, which is cool.
So anyway, thanks for that. Yeah, and also even, chefs, we recently just connected with Paul Gerard, who's an amazing chef in the community. And he's been using SriMu in his offerings with his clients, and he's loving it. And the stuff that he's making is just blowing our minds. So we're just into the collaboration. We want to connect with you. We want to know you. And we want to make life together, So that's why I'm so excited about these collaborations and really being in the community, because it really is, with SriMu, there's a connection made over this ritual of food, over this food. So,
all right.
Thank you.
All right. Well, come back another time.
Thanks,
Share some more.
Thanks for inviting me.
Love you. Appreciate all your wisdom shared today. And if people are interested in learning more about you and SriMu, they can go to SriMu.com, SRIMU.com. If you want to pick up the Cloud9, use code RRP Cloud9 and you get a 20%. What is it? 22% discount. The URL, the link for the giveaway, you can find in the show notes on the episode page or in the description below if you're watching on YouTube. And if you're interested in learning more about Julie, you should check out her Water Tiger Spiritual Community program, where you share. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, or where else other people can find you and learn about what you're doing?
Thank you. Thanks, babe. So if you want to join me for some life guidance and spiritual counseling, I have an online platform called Water Tiger. It is a way to know way. It is honoring the individuality in each being, and it's a living portal now of over 50 techniques that you can stream and select at your discretion. And we have a monthly call for 2 hours where I transmit planetary updates and also answer questions and give life advice on every single aspect of what it means to be a human being. So if that interests you, you can find it on my Instagram at SriMati, SriMati, or also at my website, juliepiatt.com. We have some exciting new offerings in that with healing immersions that deal with specific issues like trauma, like opening creativity, like creating boundaries in your life, and embodying health and vitality. So if you're challenged in any of those areas, we have immersions that are specifically designed to target those areas. So I hope to see you there.
All right. Thanks. Let's do it again sometime.
Thanks, babe.
Peace.
Namaste.
That's it for today. Thank you for listening. I truly hope you enjoyed the conversation. To learn more about today's guest, including links and resources related to everything discussed today, visit the episode page at richroll.com, where you can find the entire podcast archive, as well as podcast merch, my books, Finding Ultra, Voicing Change, and the Plantpower Way, as well as the Plantpower Meal Planner at meals.richroll.com. If you'd like to support the podcast, the easiest and most impactful thing you can do is to subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, and on YouTube, and leave a review and or comment. Supporting the sponsors who support the show is also important and appreciated. And sharing the show or your favorite episode with friends or on social media is, of course, awesome and very helpful. And finally, for podcast updates, special offers on books, the meal planner, and other subjects, please subscribe to our newsletter, which you can find on the footer of any page at richroll.com. Today's show was produced and engineered by Jason Camiolo, with additional audio engineering by Cale Curtis. The video edition of the podcast was created by Blake Curtis, with assistance by our creative director, Dan Drake. Portraits by Davey Greenberg. Graphic and social media assets courtesy of Daniel Solis. Thank you, Georgia Whaley, for copywriting and website management. And of course, our theme music was created by Tyler Piatt, Trapper Piatt, and Harry Mathis. Appreciate the love the support. See you back here soon. Peace. Plants.